The last 3 months have finally come to fruition. That's right, the Helldivers finally have their long-awaited Death Star. But already, some community members are not happy. Plus, we need to get into the mistake you may have already made with our latest toy. Welcome to the channel. This is LtBuzzLitebeer, and we're going to get into all the latest from Helldivers in just a moment. But first, a word from today's sponsor, and you guessed it, it's me. But seriously though, you hitting subscribe and ringing that notifications bell really helps the channel get caught up in the YouTube algorithms. And if you want to take it a step further, check out this video I posted yesterday, because I know many of you have been here since the day before days. That kind of sounded weird. Anyways, the next evolution of that group's nefarious plans are now realized with a game I covered yesterday, Paradise. Now, this is a fascinating story of lies and deceit, and it really gives you a solid look at the underbelly of game development. Anyways, I sunk a boatload of time into that one for both the editing and research, and would appreciate you checking it out. Tell you what, drop me a yellow heart emoji down in chat if you decided to check out the video. And without further delay, let's get into all the latest from Helldivers. I know what you're all here for, the latest on the Death Star, but for anybody looking to spend a few super creds, here's the latest shop offerings. Starting off with the Butcher Heavy Armor with Med Kit for extra stems and extra stem duration. You've got the matching Butcher Helmet, the CE67 Titan Helmet, and the hybrid lightweight medium Titan Body Armor with Engineering Kit for both reduced recoil and +2 throwables. At this point, I know many of you already know what's happened within the game with the now full deployment of the Democracy Space Station, and then I also know, based on some of your comments I've read, you were expecting something more along the lines of this. But the DSS is quite different, so here's the TLDR rundown of what it does for the Helldivers. First, it gives us an economy to spend our long-time maxed out resource pools on. You can donate both common and rare samples as well as rec credits for what amount to passive effects during phases of a campaign. Second, and we haven't exactly seen how these passives are truly going to look when they happen, but the planetary bombardment takes rare samples, fires periodic orbital barrages down to the planet's surface, and accelerates our progress on liberation campaigns. That's important, keep that in mind. Eagle Storm takes common samples, deploys periodic Eagle airstrikes during our missions, and slows enemy progress when we are engaged in a defense campaign. And finally, the Orbital Blockade takes rec credits and will unlock the Hellpod space optimization for all missions. A bit of a tweak upcoming on this one from last night as well, because all three of these are set to have a 24-hour cap on the amount of resources you can donate. So it's 50 total rare samples max per 24 hours, 75 common samples, and last night it was capped at 10,000 rec credits, but it now seems to have been boosted up to 50,000 rec credits. And finally, number 3 on the locations tab, this is essentially a Helldivers voting board with the current percentages on where divers want to send our Death Star. But be careful here, divers, as once you cast your vote, there's no backing out. So if you change your mind, which hopefully you will do in just a moment for all of you who have not yet cast your votes, but anyways, once you hit confirm on that one single vote, there's no going back. So now that you have the 30,000 foot overview on what the DSS will do, let's take a look at how some of you are reacting to its arrival, because it is currently sitting somewhere in the mixed category. But more on my thoughts once we take a look at this specific Reddit post. Here's what they say. Before people start mobbing over criticism, I think the DSS in concept is a great addition to the game. It gives us a lot more as a community to do to coordinate, and is great for the galactic war aspect of the game. However, for what it is, it took way too long for this feature to arrive, and it is not at all what I expected. I think I can say a lot of people probably didn't expect. Thoroughly looking over the description of the features it has, everything is automated. There are no exclusive stratagems you can use. From the description, there will just be random barrages and eagle strikes. This game is lacking content and variety of missions and biomes. We've seen people raising these concerns lately. The DSS feels like something we should have completed the first 2 weeks of the Escalation of Freedom update. The amount of MOs we've been doing for this thing for what it is pretty ridiculous, and I would never want something like this little piece of content to take this long ever again. Maybe as time goes, the DSS will have more to offer, but in its current state, it's a resounding meh. Also, please do not start with the "you guys overhyped it." No, we didn't. The game did. Arrowhead did. This is exactly why I wish we got some sort of roadmap, because what are we doing here? Where are we going? What are we getting? I guess we'll see. Okay, so on your first gut reaction to that description of the DSS, how do you feel about its capabilities? Drop me a comment and let's see what you think. All right, so for me, I tried not to speculate on what the Death Star would be able to do because I honestly didn't have that high of expectations, just being honest with you. Not that I thought Arrowhead would do a poor job with the implementation, but more that I didn't want to get my hopes up too much, only to get let down with a resounding thud. For right now, what we get with it, as of mid-November 2024, it is a shiny stat stick with built-in passive effects. There are no new stratagems tied to it. We don't get to call in the passives we unlock. It's another form of the ship management computer system where we pump in resources and we get bonus effects. There's also no public areas where Helldivers can hang out together. The DSS doesn't just warp into a planet's orbit and nuke the entire planetary surface. There's those 3 effects. Maybe there'll be more in the future, but since, again, I wasn't going full bore into the hype for this thing, I don't feel like I was let down once it's now here. I do, however, agree with the post that for the time we invested into this thing, you could expect it to do far more than it does. I mean, that is a fair and logical point to make, but also on the flip side of this argument, Arrowhead never really came out and definitively promised or told us what the DSS could do. However, that build-up with the Strowman broadcast and that constant push to get those crucial major orders completed, that did give the Death Star this little extra panache to it. Like, we got the sense that we were not allowed to fail. And I can see how part of the community is looking at this thing and asking, that's it? That's all we get? Now, as far as how these random orbitals and eagles will appear and when they will attack, again, I honestly don't know. But I'm thinking the team at Arrowhead will use the existing environmental effects system, like when we get a meteor shower, to alert us about the impending strikes, as well as give us those glowing impact alerts on the ground before the attacks hit the planet. But again, that's just my speculation. Take it for what it's worth, and we'll see how it all pans out in about 10 hours' time. Now onto the mistake many of you have already made, and if I can help prevent others from making it, I'm gonna damn well try. And this boils down to what planet you voted on to send our Death Star to. Now right now, the overwhelming percentage of votes is to blast it over to Mastia and try to liberate that planet. And here's why this is maybe not the best choice. Now while I agree that the bull rush tactic to attempt the end-around gambit does look spectacular on paper, the better choice here is to go for Helldiver, and here's why. Earlier today, Mastia was a brutal 4% regen rate, which again is not shown anywhere in the game, but you can always see it over on the Helldivers companion app, and link is always available in the video descriptions. But at this rate, at 4%, we are facing a mighty uphill battle to overwhelm the bots. And since we don't yet know how much the planetary bombardment passive has for accelerating liberation campaigns, we could end up sending over our prized weapon into enemy territory, run into a tidal wave of bots backed with a high regen rate. We just get stuck there making slow progress, while all the while the bots would be mugging us over on Helldiver. Again, the gambit looks good on paper, but until we know exactly what the Death Star can and can't do in terms of these passives, the tactical play here is to sit tight on Helldiver. Vote for and deploy the DSS there, and then just stand our ground. Now, once we see the effect percentages, we could then start to push our expansions outward and begin that push through Mastia and the rest of the automaton-controlled planets. A bit of breaking news here, and I'd like to add an edit to this part of the video. I just checked on the regen rates, and Mastia is now sitting at 3%. which is not as terrible as the 4 to 4.5% it could have been at, which would have been just too brutal to overcome. I'd still like to stick with my hold what we've got on Helldiver proposition until we see a further reduction on Mastia to say something like 2.5%, in which case I would change it over to hell yeah, let's risk it for the biscuit. And very quickly, because I know this video has continued on just a bit too long, but I did want to recognize the top 3 comments from my last Helldivers video. And as always, if you want to see your name and comment up in lights, you first need to let it fly on this video. I think there's going to be quite a bit of discourse talking about the subject of the DSS. But anyways, drop me a comment and who knows, it might get upvoted enough so that it makes it into the next video's top 3. This is actually going to be a very quick breakdown. All 3 of these comments have to do with Sony stepping in and the comments made over there from headquarters. In the one spot is Bliss Batch, who says, "Dear Sony, have you considered not making your customers your enemies?" That one got a bunch of upvotes, by the way. And the number 2 spot is The Real G, who says, "Did Sony think we forgot the 200 countries that still can't play since this happened the first time?" And yeah, it's actually, I think, 177 countries and regions right now across the planet's surface that don't have access to create a PSN account and therefore are restricted from buying the game. Yeah, that's a terrible scenario for Sony, and they don't seem like they're backing off, so I don't know where this one goes. And finally, in the number 3 spot is Hata Ravanison 6269, and by the way, I'm sorry if I butchered your name down there, but it says, "When I'm in a sabotaging success competition and my opponent is Sony." So yeah, it was pretty universal across many of the comments that I saw on that last Helldivers video. Sony bad, Helldivers good, and hopefully this gets sorted out sooner than later. And that's all I've got for you today, and I'm really looking forward to your feedback down in the comment section. Let's keep it honest, let's keep it civil, let's keep it polite, but definitely let me know. Are you feeling the new DSS? Is it not for you? Were you expecting more? Any and all of that is on the menu for today. Remember to hit subscribe and ring that notifications bell to receive my latest upload alerts. All my socials, including links to all of today's sources, can be found down in the video description. We are edging oh so close to 248,000 channel subscribers, and I do want to give a massive thank you to those of you that have already taken the plunge. You've already hit subscribe, and you tune in daily to support me and the channel. A quick reminder again, please, please, please go check out that Paradise video, link in the video description. It's safe for work, and it's definitely an eye-opener. Until the next one, this is LtBuzzLitebeer, signing off.